president who was incapable of taking action based on rational thought and work.
Such are the words of Representative Steve Cohen. I started with this clip because it reveals his motive to impeach the president, his hatred of Donald Trump, which he parlays to the American public as legitimate. He, the Democrats, and the imitative media have allowed, even encouraged, him to go on for 2 years without serious question. His failed impeachment crusade, which he took on at the behest of his party with others, his nutty mission to constitutionally do away with the Electoral College that would water down his own constituents' voting power, and his opposition to Trump's wall that would staunch the flood of illegal aliens decreasing contract wages through underground labor competition. Yet he is given a virtual free ride in both local and national media, but for different reasons. As we will see, his normal national media love to put him on for his wild allegations.
This is just a criminal enterprise run amok on the American people and the biggest con job on the face of the earth.
Con? Cohen seems to be referring to the Emoluments Clause of the U.S. Constitution. Now, there's a problem here. The word con comes from confidence, as in confidence gain, and it means something used deceptively to gain another's confidence. To me, that would seem to mean Donald Trump would have had to have snuck foreign delegations into his properties in order to make an extra buck while he was president. I believe it could be argued Cohen, his colleagues, and allied media have instigated a con of their own on us all. First with the Trump-Russia investigation and his related impeachment campaign. And now, with no results from the first two efforts, he and the Dems fall back to dragging to committee sessions as many of Trump's even remote associates as they can reach. This is weaponizing congressional processes against people with different political views, just as Obama used the IRS against the Tea Party, and about whom Cohen called enemy of the state. See a pattern here? Now, thankfully, few members of Congress of either party calls opposing parties enemies of the state. That infers their party is the state. Mr. Cohen doesn't seem to get that. Cohen's up till then basis for impeaching what he called a treasonous president began to dissolve late Friday, March 22nd. That's when the letter of Attorney General Barr finding no evidence the president colluded with Russians. Cohen's preferred theme suddenly fell apart, leaving him high and dry for all to see with his now baseless accusation. By Sunday, the morning news shows had officially reported the bad news for the Dems. President Trump was off the hook. That morning, Mike Wallace said the Mueller report gave Trump a kind of good housekeeping seal of approval. The Democrats were stunned, addled as they were when Trump won the election. This could not be happening. Once again, they had misjudged the future. Their message for the future was Trump was not going to be around. Those messages were relentlessly delivered by party propaganda agents, such as my own U.S. Representative Steve Cohen. He serves U.S. District 9, that includes most of Memphis. Cohen was a favorite on left-wing television web media, where he broadcast Trump's doom for 2 years. Of course, other Democrats were doing the same. The next day, Americans heard Tucker Carlson, Fox News, called out Steve Cohen as a representative party liar for his allegations against Trump.
To pick one among 1,000 examples, here's Tennessee's Steve Cohen telling us that most of the Trump family is bound for prison.
Well, I think they're getting closer to knowing that the truth's going to come out, that there was activities with the Trump campaign in Russia and releasing those hacks and guiding them to the states and the localities where they came from. Some of that was Jared Kushner's responsibilities. Some of it was Donald Jr. I think you're going to probably see indictments of both of those people.
That man is a sitting member of Congress. He's wearing a necktie. He's on television. People believed him, and why wouldn't they? He's an authority figure in this country. And
Donald Trump has an incentive to lie because he has had a life of criminal activity, corrupt activity. It's been known by New Yorkers forever. I mean, Bloomberg told us at the convention, New Yorkers know a con man when they see one, and Trump is a con man. Michael Cohen said he's a con man, a liar, and a racist. He is a con man, he is a liar, and he is a racist. And he has lied about everything that goes down. He continues to lie. That's why he's attacked this Mueller investigation.
Interview questions for a guy running around calling the president a foreign agent range firm from Wolf Blitzer, CNN, to downright encouraging at MSNBC and NBC. But perhaps no one makes it more comfortable than Hometown News 3, where the interview was like a neighbor stopping by for coffee.
So do you think there will be impeachment? Is that something you would support?
To that layup question, posed as if the interviewer had not known Cohen had been all over the news for the past 18 months promoting his impeachment campaign. Of course he runs with it.
Oh, definitely support it. He's committed impeachable offenses of violations of Emoluments Clause, his actions against the press and the courts, which are reprehensible, his obstruction of justice, which has been plentiful. There's plenty. And if he's involved with the Russians the way I think he is, you're talking treason.
Okay, did I hear the same thing the interviewers did? This guy just called the President of the United States treasonous. Doesn't that merit a single urgent, relevant question, except a softball layup of what the President should have said in a meeting with Putin? Talk about a handoff. I might call this interview collusion.
Did you think about the President's meeting with Vladimir Putin and his reaction, or maybe the lack of reaction, to our security people saying that, yes, they definitely did hack it, but he didn't say that to the President when he had a chance to say that to Vladimir Putin? What do you think about that meeting?
It's pretty obvious that President Trump is under the influence of Vladimir Putin.
Makes it so obvious, Representative Cohen. After all, President Trump was an international businessman. Finally, sir, are you going to apologize to the President and or step down if these allegations don't hold up with the Mueller report? Now, I believe Cohen is not talking to his people as much as to his media, that is, his party's regular leftist networks that are MSNBC, NBC, and CNN. These media want to keep the Trump legitimacy issue alive, and Steve Cohen is one of the vehicles who will continue to do that. Now, many of his constituents are older and live in the mostly black and poor neighborhoods. Many of them experienced the garbage strike where Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. However, the city is long past the time a news weekly, inaccurately even then, called it a decaying river town, or something like that. Memphis is two cities. One where its citizens still live in constant racial reference or reverence to the civil rights era. And thus politics are played to this easy emotional issue to which the largest racial demographic, blacks, still relate. Now the other city, mostly white, does not identify with its racial history as much. Its objectives are getting more jobs, expanding the economy, and improving education. In a recent town hall event at an urban community center, the Daily Memphian reported only 20 people showed up, but one of them was his opponent in the last 3 elections, Charlotte Bergman. She showed up at this Cohen event and launched into him over party policies that ignore local citizens, saying, if you represent these people are asking questions about personal things in their lives, and you want to concentrate on the president and continue the lie. He quickly switched to obstruction when collusion didn't work out.
He wasn't elected by anybody. Well, Bill Barr wasn't elected by anybody, nor was Rod Rosenstein. The Congress is elected. We need to see all of the information there to make a conclusion, to get information, to let the public make a decision on whether there was obstruction of justice to protect the Trump administration and Trump team from being involved and cited for collusion.
No, the letter did not say there was obstruction. Already you see the desperate panic after Cohen and his party had spent their political reputation, at least on the part of fair-minded independents who swing elections, on a claim that never had foundation in the first place. Jerome Corsi, a Mueller witness that was grilled for days but never indicted, shows if anybody is going to find out you're lying, it will be what GQ called them, a murderer's row. It begs the question if Congress could do any better by heeding Cohen's calls for continued endless investigations. After Mueller, their only motivation is to try to keep the Trump conversation before the daytime TV network public all the way up to the 2020 election. Corsi went on the offensive with a lawsuit against Mueller, a new book, and interviews even in the left-wing media, who resorted to a simple tactic when nothing else worked.
Jerome Corsi is a liar. He is a proven liar.
Well, I never got how Mr. Lawrence proved Corsi was a liar. That declarative sentence rings as untrue as Cohen's. One can say the truth flows out from all sorts of fountainheads, such as the Federalists, who said the Mueller gang, my term, the gang that Cohen loved until even they were literally unable to find support for his various wild-haired collusion charges. Further on, the Federalist article said a special counsel lead prosecutor Andrew Weissman, quote, destroyed countless lives. The article went on to say Weissman's prosecution left, quote, tens of thousands of people unemployed. Several years later, the Supreme Court unanimously reversed the Arthur Anderson conviction, but it was too late by then to undo the harm Weissman had caused. Unquote. My point? The Democrats love tossing private citizens into this den of legal viper partisans. And always there was the next stage, their media, marching lockstep with extreme party hitmen like Cohen. Cohen and his ilk were and still are supported by his compliant go-to media interviewers. Cohen himself never misses an opportunity, no matter how extreme.
I think there's a case for obstruction. There's a case for emoluments violation. I filed articles last year. I haven't brought them up this year, but we're getting so far along in seeing what this president's done and what he's done to the Constitution, what he's done to the people's respect for our government. What he has done to the Constitution and the rule of law is as bad as that fire did to Notre Dame.
When the biggest media failed to critique Cohen and his fellow mouthpieces, the perceptions among people who don't seek out alternative information are set with, if you will, corrupt data. I suggest this is why Cohen is safe in his district, unless there is a deep wave of disgust to his unfounded, incendiary, purely politically motivated rhetoric. It's hard for me to understand why Cohen has sacrificed his credibility to constantly make hysterical, unfounded charges that just might be true on the far edges, but will go nowhere and even probably lose dim votes from the independents. Sure, he hates Trump, but there's something compulsive about his obsession. He can also pop up with other obsessions.
Chair, recognize the gentleman from Tennessee, the ranking member.
Thank you. Firstly, we're at filler time waiting for somebody to come testify. I would ask that we allow Ms. Jayapal to do filler as well as the chair. And I'd also like to say that I am not disingenuous about anything I say about Medicaid or Medicare or LIHEAP or SNAP programs. And to suggest I'm disingenuous shows your ignorance or your absolute inability to deal with Congress people the way they should. I believe in those issues, and I think they're proper, and to say I'm disingenuous is just wrong, and I expect an apology.
I would ask for an apology from the gentleman from Tennessee calling our witness ignorant when it seems to me she has a whole lot more knowledge and wisdom.
She's ignorant about me.
Everybody is.
How much better off would it be if Steve Cohen actually worked with the president instead of against him? Put another way, why is it so important for Cohen to work wastefully to impeach at the expense of working toward jobs, business growth, infrastructure, and education? You'd have to be on another planet not to see this is what Memphis needs most. It's not impeaching the president. Now, as I begin, I would love to send you an original Steve Cohen Treason and Collusion art magnet of my own design. You can order at myartmagnets.com and you can insert customization as you wish. I hope you enjoyed this video. More are in the works now. If you liked it, then please hit the like button, comment, subscribe, and check out our shop products at myartmagnets.com. Some designs are transferred to products you see in my videos, and we'd love to do some for you. Thanks, and see ya. Of course, Cohen has been one of the go-to interviews who could be reliably trusted to make outlandish and unverified charges against the president. He seemed to relish being the handmaiden to left-wing media, who even now has refused to accept the outcome of the Mueller report. While his district is at best at a kind of economic stasis, Cohen skipped from one interview to another to tout his charges wherever the media conjured Trump's crimes with him. Those charges did nothing for his district substantively. So the question comes up, just how good is a representative who spends his time railing against the president when he could work with the president, who, after all, is not an organic Republican politician? This is an example of a politician, Cohen, placing priority to his party rather than his district. Sooner or later, his constituents who voted for him will get they needed more than hearing him parrot, "Trump is a racist." They will realize they have been completely manipulated. Yet, like the battery bunny, he went on and on. After Cohen and the other, what I call the other field Dems, got their talking orders, they began to play down collusion but play up obstruction. The shills immediately began to make the rounds to their media haunts. Like Obama security advisor Susan, it was all about the Benghazi video Rice did at the orders of Hillary and Obama. Mike Wallace, Fox News, even said it was like the good housekeeping seal of approval for Trump. He actually does think a group of citizens are a state enemy because they exercise their right to stand in opposition to him and his party. That only brings up questions why any citizens would ever vote for him. I'm talking about when a politician mounts a continuous, unsubstantiated, phony and fake campaign using words like treason and collusion to usurp power. Now, the operative words here are the words phony and fake. I was recently threatened with a lawsuit over some facts I reported about a business. The facts are true. I have not been sued. But back to this, for a politician to declare treason and collaboration with a foreign power in a quest to impeach, those accusations have got to be based in fact. Facts keep us all in line. You have to care about them. Now the Mueller report did not deliver the facts that the Dems wanted. Yesterday, when the news came out, they and their media looked like their pet hamsters died under the wheel. It might as well been them. Some are said to have even cried. So it had all come to this. Now, as the Dems delivered their second phase attack of the Mueller report, an attack that had been planned all along, as we will shortly see, a true pundit story claimed this about the Mueller investigation. Mueller, Jeff Sessions, and Rod Rosenstein knew in August there was nothing they could pin on Trump. However, they waited until after the midterm election so Democrats could continue using the fake Russian collusion story. Almost always passive to even his most extreme claims. More on the roles of the media later. Almost always passive to even his most extreme claims. More on the roles of the media later.